are a Hangout podcast where two bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condor with a Kate. I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
It's Mr. Ben Errington.
It's Christmas Ben Errington. How's it going?
It's Christmas Ben Errington. I'm feeling.
Have you got your Christmas up? Your Christmas package up? Trees, lights.
Baubles are hanging nicely. Got a few lights, but not too many. Don't want to overdo it, you know. Quite minimalist, I think, when it comes to Christmas.
Just one fairy light. You have to squint your eyes to see it.
One fairy light, and the game is find out where it is. It could be anywhere. It's not about my person at all. It's in the room. It's under my t-shirt. I've got one on. I've got one on each nipple. How about yourself?
Yeah, same. I went for the nipples as well.
Nice. Yeah. Very nice. Prince Albert. Ooh. Yeah. I mean, there's some houses around here, like South Bristol, that have gone to town. Like, it's unbelievable. I dread to think what their electricity bill would be. It must be through the bloody roof. It's like Blackpool Illuminations over there.
I like it when people get that into it. It's nice, but also I think Santa might be like, it's a bit garish. Got to avoid that one.
Santa might be like, oh God, trying to show me up. If I turn up, people might think I'm part of the display, and somehow I don't know. Yeah, you don't want to overdo it. Santa though, he's got a lot to do.
Yeah, do you think deliver Spider-Man spoilers to naughty kids?
Oh yeah, deliver them straight into the eyes of naughty kids via Instagram posts and stuff. I mean, I just got to a point where I was kind of like scrolling on Instagram, but like kind of with my eyes half closed. So I'd be like,
have you been naughty?
Look at that.
That's definitely the scroll of the naughty child.
The scroll of the naughty boy. No Andy Conduit Turner this week. He is otherwise engaged. He's got other things on, which I think is just rude.
As someone who's taken a couple of days off recently, I think it's completely fine. I think it's admirable.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Even. Yeah, I think I need to request some time off in January. Actually, I know it's quite late. I've left it quite late, Luke. I'm sorry. Shall I put it in the official, put an official request form?
We'll do half shifts over Christmas anyway. Just do the first half of the podcast and then clock out.
To be fair, when the recording of this podcast came around, I was definitely in the mindset where I'd kind of forgotten about weekly podcast responsibilities.
Yeah, it's because this time of the year,
I
don't know, everything's gone to pot. I don't know what I need to do, what I'm on holiday for.
Are you already eating like large doses of chocolate for breakfast?
No, but the temptation is there. It's always there. But
the Christmas meats.
It's again. I'm trying not to get into it because I know once I start, that's it. There's no going back.
Yeah. I think you got to give yourself a nice portion of time. I mean, I've actually got time off work for a good portion of time over Christmas, which I don't think I've ever had in my adult life. You know, that's not a sob story. That is just the way it is.
This is his X Factor stories.
It's my X Factor sob story. This guy's never had a Christmas. He's never experienced Christmas. He's only ever had coal in his stocking. Well, that'd be handy, you know, fossil fuels in these uncertain times. Good to have a backup of, you know, never know what's going to happen. Brexit, one day you wake up, there won't be any gas or electric. I'm being depressed.
Can't see it.
There's all that bloody gas gone. You've used it all. Oh, shit.
I've got some horror news. I just jumped straight in because it's unusual for me to have horror news. Well, sort of horror news.
Oh.
It's bloody disgusting. Have put out their top 10 best horror games of 2021.
Oh.
Have you seen it?
An official list. I did see the post, but I didn't look in great detail at it. So hit me.
Okay, so the first one, number 10, is a game I've not heard of called Tormented Souls. Don't know what that is. You know what that is.
No, I don't know what that is. Looking at this screenshot, though, that looks like it could be any number of games from this year.
I thought it was Resident Evil. That screenshot looks like Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, it does.
The next one, number 9, Returnal, which I really want to play, but it looks really hard, so I probably won't ever play it.
And it's PS5 only as well, right?
Yeah.
I'm not bloody made of money. No.
Greg from the Enigmatic crew was saying that it's got like some PT vibes at times, which is weird when you look at the game. It doesn't look like that, but apparently it has got some haunted, scary bits.
Interesting.
Back 4 Blood is the next one. I've not played that, but it's like a Left 4 Dead faux remake. There's some indie horror games here. Bloodwash, Insound Mind. What are these games that he's made them up? Sunshine Manor. That's not a real one.
I've heard that's the only one I've heard of out of those 3. Sunshine Manor. It's because Sunshine Manor is like a sort of 8-bit thing, isn't it?
I think it looks about a 7 or 8-bit. Yeah,
it's got 7 or 8 bits going on there. Okay.
So Resident Evil 8 places 4th.
Is this like a ranked list though? Because it just says 10 best. Maybe you could.
Oh, maybe not.
Put them in any order you like in your head.
I think for me, maybe because this is the only one I played of this entire list, Resident Evil 8 is my number 1.
Yeah. It's the only one. Exactly. So I think the only I played Resident Evil Village. I did play Alan Wake Remastered, which probably counts. It's got a count, isn't it? I think any other horror games I played this year have all been from years gone by. So
yeah. Well, the last two on this list are 2 that I do really want to play. There's one called Mundown, which is first-person perspective horror. It's like a survival walking simulator sort of game, but the art style, it's made to look like creepy pencil illustrations. And have you seen any footage of it? I mean, you can't really tell from the screenshot, but when you're looking at characters and stuff, they look like little pencil drawings that come to life.
That does look interesting, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh yeah, I see.
And the last one is Inscription, which is it's by a guy called Daniel Mullins. This game's doing really well. It's like a horror card game, a deck builder card game. He did a game jam version of this a couple of years ago called Sacrifices Must Be Made. It's like a 10-minute long game. And I thought it was one of the best games I played that year. The atmosphere was so creepy. It's so weird and unusual. And this is like, it's like he's built that out, that engine out into a full game. So I really want to play this at some point.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you? Any top horror games that you can think of this year?
Well, I think Resident Evil Village is definitely up there. Everybody I've known who's played it has had a good time. It didn't win anything, I don't think, at the Game Awards, which is unfortunate, I think. But just kind of happens, doesn't it? I don't think many other horror games are kind of nominated, but I really enjoyed Alan Wake and Remastered, and I'm looking forward to playing Alan Wake 2. Different sort of atmosphere, and apparently Alan Wake 2 is going to be more survival horror.
Yeah.
So definitely looking forward to that. I don't know what else I've played. Do you know what? I need to finish, and I say finish. I'm probably just going to start it again. The Blair Witch PS4 game, because I never.
Oh yeah.
I never finished that, so I need to go back to it. I think. I did pick up a couple of games recently. So I picked up, when I say picked up, old games. So I picked up House of the Dead Overkill on PS3 and also Doom 3 on PS3. Just some pickups at like some secondhand shops. 2 games. So Doom 3, I think I played a bit of, but I managed to find a copy of it with like the BFG edition, which has obviously got some additional content. So yeah, I think I'm going to give that. I know it's completely different. They've tried to go for the dark, narrow corridors and survival horror stuff rather than the big, ridiculous, over the top guns and stuff.
You're like you're a Doom guy now, aren't you? Would you say you're a Doom guy?
I think I'd say I'm a Doom guy. I mean, to be fair, we get like the end of year stats from PlayStation. I'd be very surprised if there's anything other than Doom Eternal. I've really played so many hours into that, not just the main game, but also the DLC as well. It's probably one of the games that's got the most like replayability factor, the biggest replayability factor, I think, of any game I've ever played. Because I'm very much, when I reach a limit with a game, that is it. There's no going back. I know, right? That's the limit. As soon as I realize that
That's the most amount of enjoyment you're going to get out of this game.
For example, if I finish a game and then I think, right, I'm going to go back and do everything and get every trophy, for example.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
If I get to a point where I'm like, I'm definitely not enjoying this anymore, I've reached the limit, then I will just put it down. There's no like, I don't push past through the pain of it. Essentially, I will just stop. But yeah, with Doom Eternal, I've never reached that moment. And even now, like I recently deleted it from my console just because I was like, right, just go play something else. Because I think when I see the little thumbnail of it, I'm like, oh, could just have a few minutes on that, see if I can get a better score. Especially with this horde mode, which came with the latest update. It's got so much to do, and it's such a like competitive nature to it, and there's so many things to unlock that it's just addictive.
Yeah.
So even though that didn't come out this year, that probably is. I mean, you'd say horror. It's horror to a degree. There are definitely some creepy sections, and the demon designs are pretty terrifying at times.
Yeah, it's definitely a horror tinge, horror flavored.
Horror flinged.
Did Little Nightmares 2 came out this year, I think. I'm surprised that's not been mentioned on more lists because I mean I know it's maybe, I don't know, is it? It's not, I wouldn't say it's like a children's game, but it's got children's vibes. But I mean, that's what adds to the kind of creepiness. And there's a bit in the Little Nightmares 2 that I think was extremely scary with the if anyone's played it at the hospital with the mannequins and stuff. Have you played Little Nightmares 2?
Not myself. I've watched my nephew play a little bit of it. I watched him play through a section where you had to put like a like doll's head on your head and sort of run through a section to try and pretend you were, I'm a dolly as well, which is pretty cool. Yeah. I think that was number 2. But I've played a bit of number 1, but I don't think I've ever sat down and really tried to play through it. I guess I played Inside this year for the first time. You'd say that's got horror vibes to a degree, I guess.
Sci-fi horror, weird, arty vibes.
Yeah.
My favorite genre.
Lovely genre. What did you finish recently? Was that horror?
I don't know. What did I finish? Played Death's Door.
Yeah,
that was not really horror.
Not really horror.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, have you got any other news before we move on to recent?
The only other news I've got is it's the 25th anniversary of Scream, and I think that's today or yesterday, which is nice. Very exciting. I think obviously the new Scream movie will be out next month. Let's hope that any more restrictions in the UK don't affect our chances of seeing it on the big screen. So 14th of January, and I think Scream's social media have been posting behind the scenes stuff and also a tribute to Wes Craven as well, which is nice. So I'm going to go and have a look at all of that stuff, share some stuff. Can't believe it's been 25 years. I remember getting it on VHS. I remember watching it on VHS, renting it from the video shop. So I didn't go to cinema to watch it. I was too little. And that striking image, the white cover with Drew Barrymore's face on it, is Drew Barrymore, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I saw some like behind the scenes making of bits of that poster. So like, what is it? Like they moved, I don't know, I have to try and find it, but basically they kind of recreated half of the face. Like they kind of removed the bottom half. I'll try and find it. I'll give it a quick Google now. Okay.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is that VHS cover is so like iconic, and I just remember seeing it in the big chunky spine. Not Drew Barrymore, the video. The big chunky spine of that VHS tape is like with the letters in red.
Yeah.
So prominent. Like, I mean, for me, because of the age I was in that, had more of an effect on me than Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, any other horror really. So for me, it's like the OG slasher series. So very much looking forward to the new movie. And I'll celebrate the 25th anniversary by what will I do? Go to a video shop, put my head through a cat flap, just for a laugh, you know. Maybe try and squeeze for a cat flap just to test myself, just see if I can do it. And if I do, reward myself on Christmas Day with a lovely Mince pie. Don't like mince pies. Cheesecake. Full cheesecake.
Like mince pies. I never used to, but then, well, I don't know.
Then I grew up. The only other bit of news I've got, unless you were going to tell me anything more about it.
Nope. I've sent you the link to that thing.
Okay, cool. We'll have a little look. The only other thing is that, so horror adjacent, not really horror, but I guess it's based on, it's by a director who's had horror movies. Robert Eggers' new movie, The Northman, released a trailer this week. A violent Viking epic. Cast looks solid, Alexander Skarsgård, Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe, Bjork, also Claes Bang. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Claes Bang. The guy who played Dracula in the BBC adaptation. It looks like he's playing the big bad. Looks like he's playing the villain. I thought for a second, I was like, is that the guy who plays Saul in Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad? Oh God, his name's completely evaded me. I thought it was him for a second. I was like, what on earth? That's a strange casting. And then I watched the trailer again. I was like, oh no, it's the guy who plays Dracula. Very similar faces. Very similar faces. I was confused for a second, but this looks amazing. I mean, my hype for this, I didn't know anything about it. So I was like, well, I'm not hugely hyped for it because as an actor, I think The Witch is amazing. Lighthouse is amazing, but it's a difficult film to sort of always get on board with. I did enjoy it.
This looks
Bob Odenkirk. Yeah, Bob Odenkirk is who I'm thinking of.
This looks a bit more normal, doesn't it? In a weird way.
It does look a bit more normal. I mean, there's some the visuals look insane. It almost looks like, what is it like? It looks like an Assassin's Creed by way of. It looks like there's definitely some science fiction. Oh, sorry, not some science fiction, but from some sort of supernatural elements happening in it as well. I'm pretty sure there's like a shrunken head in one scene, and Bjork looks like some kind of, I guess, witch shaman.
Yeah, of course she does.
Of course she bloody does. Someone's got braces in that. Yeah, go on, sorry.
It reminds me a little bit of the vibe of Senua's Sacrifice, Hellblade. Did you ever play that one?
No, I didn't. But
see, that's a really good.
A lot about that.
Really enjoyed that game. Like the vibe of it is awesome.
Yeah. So it's written by, I think a novelist, I believe. Is it Sion? Is that you say his name or her? Sorry, I actually genuinely don't know unless I've only read anything. I think he's an Icelandic poet, and I think the film is loosely based on one of his works.
Okay. Yeah.
I believe. The Northman.
That's really good. That's really good.
I'm just trying to see what's.
I think it's probably based on Vikings, right? I think that's the vibe they're going for.
It's got to be based on some of them Vikings, isn't it? Got to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is pretty much that for horror news for pre-Christmas horror news. So, have you seen anything you want to talk about?
I mean, went to watch the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Not Far From Home, not Home, not
Home Alone.
Made Dinner. What's this one called? This one is called No Way Home.
No Way Home. Yeah.
No Way Home. Home.
I guess before we discuss this, we will tell everyone we're not going to spoil anything. We're only going to discuss things, I guess, that you've seen in major trailers. So, or we'll be as vague as possible. We'll just be vague. Let's just be vague.
Yeah, I'll just say, I mean, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. The Spider-Man was always like one of my favorites growing up, especially the Sam Raimi films. And if anyone read it, like the Ultimate Spider-Man comics was so good. And I've always liked the MCU Spider-Man films, but never been blown away. It felt more like James Bond Jr. to me. Like he had all these gadgets and friends. Spider-Man doesn't have gadgets and friends.
No. He's bloody broke. He's delivering pizza.
Well, they did do some of that in the comics, in the Marvel comics fairly recently, but I never really vibed with it. So this one I felt was like they really nailed the tone of a Spider-Man film. Like it felt, I don't know, it had everything. It had the drama. It had the kind of Peter Parker getting like the shit end of the stick, which is his character trait. He always gets the shit end of the stick. And it was I kind of knew some of the spoilers anyway, but it still blew me away. It still blew me away. It was fun. It was really good.
I think good. if you're a Spider-Man fan, you're welling up, emotional. If you're a Spider-Man fan, definitely avoid as much as possible before you go into this, because there's a lot which, when it happens on screen, like experiencing it with people and experiencing their initial reaction to these things happening, is like a once in a lifetime opportunity.
It kind of is though. Like the way people reacted. Were they loud in your theatre? Because in mine they were so loud.
I wouldn't say loud, but people were reacting, and that's something that doesn't happen all that often.
It's like being at a wrestling match. Like people were like chanting their favorite characters as they came on screen.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Come on.
Come on, whoever. Well, obviously, in terms of like spoiling things, these characters were in trailers. So if you don't know about these characters, then stop listening for a bit. But Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina, even though it's been like 20 years since they were last on screen portraying these characters, they step back into the roles like effortlessly. Yeah. And it's almost like Willem Dafoe has been away going, I wish I bloody did this when I was Green Goblin. That would have been great. And he brings so much, like, he's so sinister, to the point where I'm just like, this is a superhero movie in the MCU. I'm scared. I'm a bit scared. I'm like, this guy he's bloody unhinged. Somebody to stop him.
Yeah. They did a little bit of digital de-aging as well. I think it's maybe the best version of that I've seen.
I wasn't 100% sure about that.
I'm not too sure about Willem, but I think Alfred Molina, definitely. Yeah. Like he looks... I mean, it looks a little bit digital, but it looks pretty good. Considering,
you mentioned this before, considering how many moving parts there are in this film and how many plot threads they need to bring in and sort of give enough time and conclude in a way that makes sense, but also respects a lot that came before it. And the fact that they've got Doctor Strange milling about. Because obviously when you got Doctor Strange milling about, you're like, well, I could just do that, can't he? He could just do this. But everything feels like it's got a place, and everything feels like it's earned, and it is like genuinely quite.
It's like it's emotional. Like the drama is definitely there. Yeah,
tense. You care for people that perhaps you didn't think you ever cared about.
Yeah,
or you didn't think, I didn't. And I don't know. It just offers up so much. There's so much possibility now, and while obviously we mentioned about Ghostbusters being like a nostalgia fest, and it was more or less just firing a lot of nostalgia at you, this film, again without spoiling anything, feels like it understands what came before it, respects it, it respects everything about it. It doesn't like remove certain elements of things and just give you a bit of it.
As it was. Like they haven't changed
everything
things to
is
make
as
it
was.
Fit this film. All the character quirks are still there.
Yeah. And things that perhaps could, like certain villains, for example, could easily just be cameos, but they're given enough of a working part in the movie that their inclusion in it is important. It makes sense. So, I mean, I think I said before, like it exceeded all expectations. And I don't, going into films, I try not to have huge expectations anymore because I've been so disappointed in the past. But honestly, how I can go from thinking this about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, he's all right, and he's pretty cool, to thinking, oh my god, he absolutely nailed that.
Yeah.
It gives him, in terms of a character arc across the whole trilogy, Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, it's pretty spectacular, It
is good. I think this film, because you get a lot of films that are like nostalgia baity kind of films. I mean, this is the gold standard for how to do it, where you're not just bringing things up as reference points. Even like the Resident Evil movie was bad for this. Just bringing stuff up as cultural references that don't really impact the story in any way properly. Whereas this has all of that, and it does all the fan service, but it all works like really well for the story.
I'm not going to say this line because I'm hoping, because for me to experience this, but I'm hoping you'll know exactly what line I mean. There's a certain line uttered by a character who, well, uttered by Willem Dafoe, we'll say. And he says a certain line that is obviously a meme. It's become
I'm a big mini boob peenie face.
And when he said that line, that is a meme, like oh my God, I was like, that is absolutely perfect, because it was integral to the story. It made sense for the character to be saying that, but also it's something that's been meme worthy for the last 20 years, and it just slotted into that script effortlessly, and I was like, that is amazing. I'm all over it.
It was awesome. I think it's kind of made me excited about MCU movies again, to see what happens from here.
And it was funny without feeling like it needed to be like, oh, here's a joke, here's a joke, here's a joke. Well, we're making a laugh, we're laughing about that, but now we're trying to survive. Didn't feel like that. It felt genuinely funny. I was laughing at a lot of stuff. And you know, the chemistry between some of the characters, chemistry we hadn't seen before between two characters, was like out of this world. Can't believe it.
Yeah. I'll say, like, I wouldn't say it's a perfect film, but in the same sense, I don't think Endgame is a perfect film. But they're not. No. They're not those kind of films. They're more like it is a bit like going to a wrestling match and watching your favorite wrestlers all come together and team up and get into scraps. And I don't know, like it's more like it's
the equivalent of like somebody's theme music hitting when they've been out injured for 2 years, and then being like, oh my God, what are they doing? I mean, one of the reasons I love wrestling, because like how many things that you watch give you that sort of, you can't watch a football match and then suddenly I don't know.
Yeah.
So an old footballer just enters the match. Like, yeah. Good fun.
I don't think I've had time to watch anything else this past week. It's been pretty busy. I watched Tick Tick Boom because it's on the list. What else? I think I've been reading tons.
Good swerve.
Yeah. What do you
mean? I saw Antlers. I think you discussed that already.
Oh yeah.
Previously, some great creature design, I thought. Some genuinely good gore as well. Like, corpses have never looked as good. It's a good looking film. I don't know how I felt about it plot wise, but it was a good looking film.
I thought it was okay. I thought it had a lot going for it, but I thought it was
okay.
Didn't do anything that interesting, I don't think.
In terms of,
I saw you rate one movie that you rated that you didn't like, that I was like, oh no, we told to watch that.
Well, this was a film that I watched it, and then I don't know, I woke up the next day annoyed because I was like, oh, I can't believe I watched that last night. It annoyed me. So I watched Better Watch Out. So in terms of festive horrors, that was one from the last, like, I don't know, 5 years or so that I'd not seen. And I think both you and Andy said, yes, we're definitely worth checking out. One thing, Virginia Madsen's in it from Candyman. If you remember that. She's the mum character who just spends most of the film away. This film, if you don't know anything about it, is really going to pull the rug out from under you in terms of what. So I'll give it kudos for that, because I didn't see it go in a certain way. But I don't know, I just really didn't enjoy it. You know, when you're just like, I mean, again, kudos to a particular actor, because his performance made me generally want to murder him. And so kudos to him as well. But I feel like the film, it kind of reveled. And again, maybe this is the point. So I'm saying I didn't enjoy the film, but maybe that's the point, you know. I feel like it kind of reveled in this sort of like toxic atmosphere it created. And it's got like this entitled character at its center. And the thing I find most frustrating about it is that there were pretty much no consequences for this person. Again, maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point, because it says people like this will exist, not to this extreme, but people like this will exist. And never be held accountable for their terrible actions. But I think
he's an awful person.
He's an awful person. But I think one thing I think the most interesting character spends half of the film just tied up. And in terms of conclusions to a film, I don't think I've ever been less satisfied I was like, right, okay, now this has got to happen, surely. Right, okay, surely now this. And then it just ends. And I was like,
isn't it? I mean,
please.
spoiler alert, isn't the ending just that he's got away with it?
Pretty much.
Like,
but
it feels like he's not going to, and then
pretty much that's the ending. But we do see one of the characters survives and is going to hospital, but then there's a sting at the end. Sorry, I'm spoiling it. If you don't want to spoil it for Better Watch Out, 2016's Better Watch Out, skip forward like 30 seconds. But there's a sting at the end where he's like, oh, maybe we should go to hospital to see if she's all right. So he's obviously trying to say that he's going to go. And I don't know how believable it was either, you know? Like, I understand that there are little bastards, little entitled bastards like this, but how believable is it in terms of a...
I don't think they were aiming... I mean, it is as believable as Home Alone.
Yeah.
More so, to be honest, I think.
I hated him so much, Luke. I hated him. And again, kudos to the character, because when I really do hate a character, like, this is the thing. Even if a film seems like it's kind of good, if I hate the character beyond all comprehension, it really does ruin the film for me. So I think the last film I mentioned about that was the film Her Smell with what's her name from Invisible Man in it, the lead actress from Invisible Man. It's kind of like Elizabeth Moss.
Mm-hmm.
Her character, so in terms of a film, I think is quite well respected as being like a interesting take on a fictional rock star and her like problems with addiction and stuff. But the character was so like horrific, and I couldn't get on board with it. It just ruined the whole film for me. Like, I couldn't watch it, and I feel like that was the same with this film.
It's almost like it's like there's no main character with any redeeming qualities at all. But I mean, I don't know what you mean, because I remember feeling kind of dirty after watching Better Watch Out. In fact, I watched it with a cat. I might ask if she remembers it. But I quite enjoy those kind of horror movies that do make you feel a bit sick. Like, I can't believe that it ended. I quite like stories where the bad guys win. I don't know. There's something about that that's quite unexpected, and I feel like there's been a big prank played on me.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy it.
Do you know how Get Out ends? So again, spoilers for Get Out. Sorry.
So I know how it was supposed to end as well.
Yeah. So a police car turns up, and you think,
and I quite like the way it was supposed to end.
Yeah. No, I feel exactly the same. I feel like if it ended like that, oh my God. And I kind of felt like if there was...
Sorry, I think we skipped over it. The original ending was that the police car turns up as it does at the end, and then obviously he gets arrested for murdering this white family. But
is it arrested or is it just executed? You know?
I don't know actually, to be honest.
I kind of thought Better Watch Out needed something like that, where I don't know, perhaps
it would have been nice.
Perhaps a certain character fights back, but then maybe the antagonist does get his comeuppance, but then when the authorities turn up, it just looks like she's gone nuts, and maybe the antagonist has set it up to make it look like...
I've got to say, I admit, although I enjoyed the film as it is, I think having something happen right at the end that would mean he got his comeuppance would have felt really good. As a watcher, as a viewer, it would have been a bit of a fist pumping moment.
Go on. That's what it needed, wouldn't it? Because you kind of, when you watch a film and it doesn't have a satisfying conclusion, you come out of it genuinely like a bit agitated, like, I need to see some twat get his head kicked in there. Let's put UFC on, for God's sake. Gonna have to watch that Jake Paul fight. Oh, what's that? He won. Oh, for fuck's sake, nothing's happening my way. Oh God.
Yeah, I don't think that Jake Paul fight is real. Did you see
Yeah, I saw a little twisty.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, like, this is completely off topic. In the tweets replies to that thing, there's so many tweets that have just said the same thing. Jake Paul is the next best fighter in the world. He's the next Tyson, and obviously, like, someone had paid like a bunch of AIs or something to just post that. So it's dead. It's so dodgy. It's so dodgy. Yeah.
It's a real life horror.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And then, did you watch anything else? So, Better Watch Out, which you said was the best movie you'd seen all year. What else did you? Antlers.
That was it. I think that was it. Apart from this film, which I didn't actually watch this week, I watched it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I'd say I watched it a couple of weeks ago as well. So my memory may be hazy,
foggy.
Yeah.
I think because we both watched it around about the same time, so we're like, let's do an episode on it because the director's previous film was something of a critical hit. So we thought, and plus, like foreign language films, we don't cover them all that often on this podcast, do we?
No.
Good
So what is today's
to do that? So today's movie is Titane. Is a 2021 horror film. I am Titane. It's just French for titanium, right?
I am Titane. I am. Go on.
I hate that song. So I'm like, well, what about adamantium? Eh? Oh yeah, you think you're titanium? I'm adamantium. What is
the game of top trumps? Well, adamantium's got to be because it's not real. It's like it's the Wolverine bones. Vibranium. I don't know. That feels like the one they made up in the MCU just because they didn't.
They're definitely made up. Vibranium and adamantium are definitely made up, but which one's stronger?
Vibranium is what they use. Those electric shock chairs you had at theme parks. We had to sit down, put your hands on the vibranium balls.
We mentioned that. We mentioned that like a couple of weeks ago. So. Yeah. What about unobtainium?
Unobtainium is the latest cryptocurrency.
Oh yeah, I like that. Dogecoin.
Yeah.
Okay, so Titane is a 2021 horror film written and directed by Julia Ducournau. The French-Belgian co-production stars Agathe Rousselle in her feature film debut as Alexia, a woman who, after being injured in a car accident as a child, has a titanium plate fitted to her head. I guess if you say anything else other than that, it's going to venture into spoiler territory, which we will obviously discuss throughout. So it's weird because on IMDb
I was going to say the movie description is dead weird because it gives you a movie description and then it gives you a description of what titanium is.
Yeah, it's really weird. So it just says, following a series of unexplained crimes, a father is reunited with the son who had been missing for 10 years. Now I read that and I reckon I was like an hour into this film and I'm like, this ain't the same film as that description. What's happening? So obviously this film was directed by Julia Ducournau, who also directed the movie Raw, 2016 coming of age horror drama.
2016,
which
Jesus
I watched.
Christ. What did you think about that one?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Very similar sort of atmosphere, vibe, cinematography, performance, I guess, central performance as well. This kind of like understated, but
it's like French. I don't know. It feels like you're watching film festival films. Like it's got that film festival cinema vibe, where it's like a kind of more of a drama angle in a more of a naturalistic dialogue style. Yeah. But the added genre elements are there on top.
Yeah. I like it there. I've
me too.
Fan of like French cinema as well. And I even recognize the actor dude in it, the one who's behind you, who's pretty much purple. He looks like Blue Steak. He looks like his steak spin. How do you like your steak? He definitely likes it straight off the bone.
What is that guy? Vincent Lindon. I like my steak, Vincent Lindon.
Vincent Lindon.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was something I think. So it's been out on demand for a while, but I think it is hitting cinemas in the UK right at the end of the year. But I think it's been submitted by France to the Academy Awards for Best International Feature. I think it's been winning loads of awards as well, or at least it's been nominated for lots. European Film Awards, Critics' Choice Awards, for example. So yeah, but I think from the word go, I knew I was probably going to get into something weird, especially when I started looking at little one-line reviews on Letterboxd. Yeah,
well, so the reviews are not actually as high as I thought they would be. So, I mean, when people were first watching this film, all over film Twitter, people were saying it's the best thing they've seen all year. But IMDb has it at 6.7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes critics at 87%. But I feel that may be because there's not a huge amount of reviews on there. The audience score is 85%. 3.7 on Letterboxd, which is where I thought it would be a bit higher. Ginger Snaps wrote, I fucking hated every second of this movie. 5 stars, best movie ever. So I think she's commenting on the kind of uncomfortable nature of the film. Yeah. And then Frederick von Fake put, Titane tries to be 3 entirely different movies. A, go-go dancer girl as a serial killer goes on an albeit short rampage. B, girl pretends to be the missing son of a broken family. C, lady fucks a car and gets car pregnant, which is another genre. It's its own genre of movie. Yeah. I think Cars is in that genre as well.
And Cars too.
Yeah. That is a condition, isn't it? I mean, Kat showed me a TikTok. It was a guy who was married to his car.
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen that.
It was pretty funny to watch. But there's a bit where he says sometimes he just likes to get under it. Yeah. And he's like smooching the bonnet and stuff, and like caressing its rearview mirror and stuff.
I mean, it's pretty funny, but you know, if it makes him happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you don't do it in public,
makes him really happy.
Don't do it in public. Come on, keep it to yourself. Close the garage door. Whatever happens in there stays in there. What are you gonna say? How would you fuck a car? Is what you're meant to say. Because in your head, fucking a car, you're like, the exhaust.
Yeah, that's the obvious. I mean, obviously it's so sexy.
But but then the exhaust. I mean, I'm not talking about let's not talk about girth here, but the exhaust's pretty wide. I think you're not going to be able to get any level of.
I mean, I guess that's not the aim. I don't know.
And then on the contrary, you know, if you're being the receiver in this car sex relationship,
gear stick.
I mean, how does that work? Just gear stick?
I don't know because they're too big.
Gear stick.
Yeah, I mean, Americans don't have gear sticks, do they? I thought they mainly had automatic cars.
I think mainly, yeah, but stick shift in America does exist, I believe.
Yeah, you know who has stick shift cars in America? People who have sex with their cars.
People who have sex with their cars. People in horror movies who need to leave immediately have stick shift cars. Oh no, I've got to get into gear before I drive off. Oh, fucking hell, ain't that hard?
Yeah.
Somebody once asked me to reverse their automatic car into a space because they couldn't do it. This is true. Yeah. In a car park, and I literally didn't even know where to start. I was like, "Wait, what?"
Well, it's like a handbrake, isn't it? That has more modes. Like
bizarre.
It is. My dad drives an automatic, and every time I've driven it, it's really fun because you don't have to worry about. I don't know. It's dead easy. It's dead nice.
I feel like I don't worry about changing gears now. I'm definitely at a point where I'm comfortable enough. It is kind of.
Do you ever do that thing where like you go whoops, like you've actually gone to the wrong gear, or it's slipped out your hand or something,
or you're not even in gear. Oh shit! Yeah. Sorry. Or you try and pull away in third. What's going on here?
Yeah. Entire car shaking, like you're going off road.
That's basically getting fucked by a car. That is. I mean, if we're talking about getting fucked by a car, I've been fucked by a car like loads. Like a car just before Christmas, deciding that.
Yeah, and we've all been fucked financially.
Here's all the lights. Yeah, not Christmas lights, all the warning lights going off at the same time. For fuck's sake. That's being fucked by a car.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of what you just mentioned, it is kind of like that. It is kind of 3 films in one, and I think it's quite jarring when it goes from a certain genre as such, a certain act. When it goes from one act to another act, it is quite jarring, and it did kind of make me feel like, no, get back to that stuff. I prefer that stuff.
Well, so I feel like this film, I was even trying to, because it's been a little while, so I was trying to think about it. What is this film actually about again? And it feels more like a kind of fluid sensory film rather than one that you like logically look at and go, oh, that plot leads to that plot bit, and that plot leads to that bit. We have the third act climax. Like it definitely feels like it's going for something a bit different. And I was trying to work it out, and I saw someone mention a review. It's kind of about gender fluidity, and there's that bit, and kind of showing the difference. But I mean, late at the end of the film, she does the sexy dance that she did at the car at the start of the film, but like the setting and the reaction is completely opposite because she's now at that point a boy, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird one. It's definitely
Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of, there's a lot of commentary on like gender fluidity, like father-son relationships, I guess.
Firefighters.
Firefighters. What kind of stuff could the car sex stuff be saying? That's something about.
Just I don't know.
I guess something about sexuality without.
Yeah, maybe like not the norm.
Without gender being attached to something. I guess it's like an extreme sort of way of thinking in terms of that, or maybe thinking being a transformer be all right.
Yeah, do you think she's got all the old Transformer movies on VHS? Sticks them on constantly. Why are these boxes sticky?
Yeah. Oh, it's oil. It's oil. Don't worry. It's oil. Don't worry about it.
I actually really like. I mean, the scenes where she does have intercourse with the cars. I like that you really have no idea what's going on. Like, it's all kind of closed. I mean, you kind of get like the Titanic vibe where the car's shaking and a hand goes against the window, and you think, "Ooh, who's she in there with?" No one.
No one. It's bloody It's bloody sat nav voice.
Left, right, closer.
What's that film? Is it called Crash, where they get off with having sex? Car crash is
Cronenberg. The Cronenberg. Yeah, I've not actually seen that one for some reason. Don't know why.
I don't know if I have either, actually.
Have you seen the David Cronenberg directed Crash Bandicoot? That'd be very interesting.
Oh, really? It'd be like Crash Bandicoot, half man, half TNT box. It'll explode at any time. You know.
Speaking of David Cronenberg and speaking of Spider-Man and taking a few steps back, I was thinking all the best Spider-Man villains are essentially horror victims, like people who've been turned into monsters. But instead of like The Fly would be a perfect example.
Yeah.
Instead of like asking someone to blow his head off with a shotgun, he just decides to rob a bank instead. Like it's almost like just that fork in the road that leads them from horror villain to Spider-Man villain.
There's basically it's the only two directions you can go in.
You can go into finance, I guess.
Finance, marketing. But I guess with Titane, I kind of felt like some Cronenberg vibes at times, like not loads, but you know, a few sort of moments of body horror. That kind of happened, and I liked it. I thought it was good. And obviously it's a great central performance as well. Like she was the character of Alexia / Adrian was equally like kind of engaging, but also kind of terrifying, and also it's weird, you kind of wanted to find out much more about her, but you never really did, like what her goals are, or
we have no idea
why she does what she does, how she became attracted to cars. What's the science behind getting impregnated by a motor vehicle?
Well, you know, the reason she becomes attracted to a car, like
of course, okay, I forgot about this.
The opening gambit.
Well,
so I don't recognize any. You said you recognize Vincent Lindon.
Well, I thought I did. I did just look at his filmography, and I thought maybe he'd popped up in.
Let's have a good look.
What's that trilogy of French crime films with what's it called? I'm terrible. I thought maybe he was in one of them, but it doesn't look like he is.
Is that with Vincent Cassel?
Yeah, Vincent Cassel. He's called like the something.
Lahane he's in. Oh, he's the cop in Lahane.
Okay.
You might recognize him.
Maybe I did recognize him from that then.
Yeah. Cool. He's in tons of stuff, but I think I've only seen Lahane.
He also played a very drunk man, it says. Or maybe I'll look at something else. Maybe played a very drunk man. We need you to play a very purple man. Well, I'm your absolute go-to. Also, a lot of stuff about masculinity in this film as well, because age plays a factor into this guy's sort of personality. The fact that he's losing strength, wants to like sort of hold on to his youth in a way and hold on to his strength, and he's sort of frustrated in that way. And maybe how his personal relationships, i.e. with his son, which he probably sees as some level of failure, how that comes into it as well. Like, it's almost like he's been emasculated by losing his strength and apparently losing his son as well. So he's kind of like holding on to those things in any way he can. He's like grasping for validation, I guess, with both of those things. But yeah, obviously he doesn't come into the movie until about halfway through.
Yeah, so it starts with Alexia is a little girl in the back of the car as her dad's driving her somewhere, and I think I can't remember what she's doing. She's singing or trying to get his attention, and they crash, and then
she removes her seatbelt, doesn't she? And I think her dad turns around to say, "Put that bloody seatbelt on, your mug."
Yeah,
don't be silly now.
So the crash, and she has like a titanium plate shoved in her head, and like quite a cool little squiggly line on the side of her head.
It's a lovely squiggly line, isn't it?
Yeah.
It looks pretty sweet.
And then as soon as she gets out of the hospital, she sees a car. I think she kind of runs past her parents who have their arms open. She goes straight to the car and kisses it or hugs it. I can't remember.
I think she kisses it. I think she just kisses it and says something like, "I love you." I don't think she says that, but she loves the car. So trying to break this down, like, I don't know. Where would you start in terms of, are we meant to think that she's just had a head injury? So clearly her sort of judgment has been affected by that.
Yeah, I think so. I always think about this all the time, non-stop. So the idea of like people having a person's character is the soul or is it part of the brain? I think it must just be a mix of stuff, the body and what's going on in the brain. Because sometimes when people have accidents, like massive aspects of their personality can completely change. So
what about people who wake up and they can speak a different language? Or that her accent changes? That's always fascinating. Yeah. I've never been to Liverpool, but I woke up scouse after falling down the stairs.
That is weird.
Very weird.
I don't know about the language one. If that, how is that? That's I don't know. That's a movie in itself. Shit. That is some mad shit. So she has this accident, and then I think it completely fundamentally changes some aspect of her that takes her off the path of the normal life and puts her into a different one from everyone else. But it does some really weird stuff to us. And like, when we cut to many years later in the line, she's turned into someone who likes to dance on cars at motor shows in fishnets and gold pants, which lots of the boys are around. They're enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, so is this some kind of like, so it's like a motor show though, isn't it? It's not necessarily like a
I think
big old strip club.
But no, it's halfway between. Yeah, it's like a big motor show where people are showing off their cars, and then I guess, is this her car? I don't think it is it?
I don't know. This is the car. It's a nice car. It's got a lovely flame decal on it.
It looks like every new. I was going to say every new metal fan's black short sleeve shirt and Converse All-Stars.
Classic, absolutely classic. Or Guy Fieri. He loves a shirt like that.
Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri. I don't think I ever had a shirt like that. Unfortunately, not.
It looks like a barbecue menu, like a menu for like flame grilled meats.
Flame grilled meats. But she just gyrating all over the car. So clearly, she's making a bit of dollar doing what she loves, because she obviously has got sexual attraction of sorts too. This car, which is
it's got fans as well, like some fans who kind of follow around.
Yeah, people want autographs, and there's one fan who like follows her to the parking lot, car park. And he's a bit aggressive. He's a bit forceful. He kind of wants an autograph initially, then he wants a kiss, like just on the cheek, but then he like forcibly kisses her, and she ain't having any of that. Who's to blame her? But she murders him with her weapon of choice, which is a big old long hairpin, Could have been a chopstick. I wasn't sure.
I think it was a chopstick. Single chopstick.
Single chopstick. And she shoves it in his ear. Is that right?
She's really good aim. She says to a couple of people, didn't she? Right through the eardrum.
Right through the eardrum. That she's got very good aim. And also, like, maybe she's just trying to help them. Maybe they've got impacted wax in there. And she's like, oh, I can see it in there. Let me just help you out. Oh, no, I've gone too far. You're not supposed to ever use. You're not supposed
I'll keep going. I'll go all the way through. Keep going.
All the way through. There we go. Perfect. So what does she do? She just puts his body in the trunk of the car? In the boot? Sorry, I'm using.
In the boot of the car, in the boot of the arse, and then she goes to have a shower because she's got loads of dribble on her, loads of spit up.
Yeah.
Because apparently when she pops that eardrum, dribble fell out. Drool and dribble.
The dribble valve.
Exactly.
Came loose. Unfortunately. So
after internal coolant system, she sees everyone as cars. But then she's all alone with that car she was gyrating on earlier, and she's like, well, I've just killed someone.
She hears something, doesn't she? I think she hears some sort of noise, banging, or it's like Pimp My Ride because the car is doing that hydraulic thing on the.
Yeah.
Is it doing that? In my head, it is. I don't even remember. Is it?
It reminds me of the car from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like it starts walking on its wheels.
That is weird. It goes, hey, what you doing? What happened out there? And she's like, oh, I can't tell you about it.
Yeah.
And he goes, get inside. Opens his doors and she climbs into him. There's probably something about the act of that that's quite visually stimulating, but obviously probably has got a lot of metaphor to it. Climbing into a car, a bit like a womb. Get into the car. I don't know. I'm just adding a lot of context to it.
No, keep going. I like it. Yeah.
That car is basically.
What does it say about us as a society?
It says we live in a society, all right? And it says all we want. It says all we want to do as human beings. All we want is just to return to the womb. That's all we want. That's why we like staying in bed so much, nice and warm, cozy.
Yeah, that's weird. And we're going to reevaluate my life, my relationship with my mum.
Womb baby. With your mum. Mum, do you reckon I could just have 10 minutes in the womb again? No? Get out of here.
Do you sleep all the way under the covers generally, or do you have one half out, one half under?
I'm usually like one half out, but a leg needs to be out, and usually both arms, I would say.
Both buttocks under, or
both buttocks under. Although sometimes, if I am overheated,
buttocks on both sides.
Putting the arse out of that is a good way to cool down fairly quickly.
It is. That feels like it's like where the heat gets in or gets out, or the coldness gets in. So the only problem is like when you slept at someone else's house and then mum had been in the middle of the night or something, and you know your butt cheeks have been out. Feel violated.
What about when you sleep at someone else's house and they go, all right then, night, and then they just leave and you're like, what? I didn't leave me a blanket or anything, and you just end up with a tea towel over you.
Freezing, shivering throughout the night.
Shivering.
Yeah.
Did you sleep well? Yeah. It was perfect.
Yeah.
So what does she do? She comes out of the shower, completely nude, butt ass naked, stark bollock.
Stark
bollock naked. Stark bollock naked and
Tony Stark. That's Tony Stark's full name actually.
Tony Stark bollock naked man.
Tony Stark bollock naked industries. Go on.
And I mean, I'm sorry, I am going to change the subject here. Bollock or bollocks means so many different things in British slang. So if you start bollock naked, you're naked completely, not anything else. If you get bollocked, it means you're getting told off. You're getting getting a what's the word? Getting
told off. Reprimanded.
Getting told off. Reprimanded. That's the word I'm thinking of. If you're the dog's bollocks, you're the best.
You're really good. Yeah.
Really good. You're the greatest. What else?
Which is weird.
You haven't got the bollocks. You haven't got the guts.
You haven't got the guts. Yeah.
You're afraid.
Courage.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
The courage. Is there anything else? Am I missing something?
I feel like there must be something about getting drunk. I was absolutely
bollocks.
But even I don't know if that sounds maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You can use a lot of words for getting drunk, but I think if you're trying to learn English, especially with British slang, it's difficult because that is mad.
I don't think they start level 1. That's bollocks. The various uses of the word bollocks.
Bollocks, and there are 27 different uses for the word.
Yeah.
I mean, it is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous.
I like bollocks. I mean, what are we talking about? I completely forgot. I lost my train of bollocks.
Start bollock naked, gets into the car, and then has sex with the car. And I think if you're not sure what's happening here, it is a bit confusing because it looks like maybe she's just masturbating or giving herself a treat in the car. I don't think it's 100% clear, even at this point, that she's definitely having sex with the car until you see the car with a little cigarette afterwards. Well,
and then it's
better get out of here.
Starts closing. It's quite sleepy.
Immediately quite sleepy. Yeah. And then and that's kind of that. We see she kind of collapses. She collapses like all sweaty and satisfied after getting her end away with the car. That's kind of it. The next instance is we see her home life. We see that she still lives with her parents. So obviously there's a big gap from when she was a kid and she got the titanium plate fitted, but it almost looks like she's got a bit of a weird relationship with her dad where they don't really interact, do they? They kind of ignore each other in the kitchen.
Yeah, I can't remember how that's presented. I think
he's sick to the back teeth of her because she lives at home still.
Yeah, she like scoffs down some Cheerios or something. I think she puts the milk in first, and the dad's like, "You animal."
And I think at this time there's something on the TV which is like saying about men,
serial killer,
serial killer at large. Certain men have been killed, and I guess we start to piece together that obviously it's been her doing this.
Yeah.
But her parents obviously haven't made any connection like this, and she's got a bit of a distant relationship with them, I guess, because they haven't got an engine. She's not really interested in anything they got to say.
Yeah.
What's that? Have you had your oil changed recently? My what? Get out of here. I'm not interested.
Yeah. So then then she finds out she's pregnant. How does that work? Did she just realize her stomach's a bit full?
So I think it's obviously one of those things where she's becoming her stomach's getting quite big already. So it's obviously a supernatural pregnancy. But then she gets like motor oil begins secreting out of her.
I really like that whole vibe of weird body horror, kind of what's actually happening here. Like what's going on.
Because she also tries to abort the pregnancy with the hairpin, multi-use hairpin.
Yeah.
Do murders, do robot babies.
She needs to use a wrench or something, take it apart, take a wheel off, loosen the lug nuts, and then you need the security nut.
Take it in for an MOT. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she should have gone to the garage. You have a look at this.
You have a look at this. The what? Oh God. Oh gee. Oh no. It's terrible.
It's gonna cost you.
It's gonna cost you. So yeah, she fails.
By the way, when there's the big reveal at the end, were you kind of hoping like a little model-sized car would drive out?
I mean, I would have loved that. I would have loved that.
A garage door opens.
Well, there's a little jump. There's a little jump out.
It's like a little Scalextric car.
There's
a Hot Wheel coming. There's like a loop-to-loop around this track that Vincent Lindon had put together.
starts doing donuts.
Little Tonka truck slips out.
So it says how long is this pregnancy like until it goes full term? So just a few weeks, I'm thinking, right?
I don't know what the timescale is, but that sounds about right. I don't think she's with the fire guys that long.
No, I don't think. Things happen quite quickly. I wouldn't say there's too much time that goes by.
Yeah.
So after this, Alexia, she goes to a house party. There's her co-worker Justine. They get it on. To what end does Alexia murder Justine?
It's a bit weird, isn't it? I thought it was a bit unnecessary. Is Justine trying it on a bit heavy? I don't think she is. I think it's the other way around, isn't it? And then
I think maybe there's a little bit of. It seems like they're both into it. It doesn't ever seem like
she sees metal in the nipple piercing, like where a normal person would have. I
remember now. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah. She bites on it. She proper tears at it. Like it's painful looking. I'm like, how did they film that without doing it for real? I mean, they probably did it for real.
You'd be surprised though with nipple piercings, like how much
stretchy they are.
I mean, you think a Stretch Armstrong has gone too far, and it goes out a little bit more.
Yeah, just push it a little bit further. I always feel like if you had braces and you're nibbling on a nipple piercing, you might get like some kind of oh Jesus Christ, oh God.
Like when you've got a filling and you eat a bit of tin foil.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I meant.
That's one of the worst feelings in the world.
Also nipple piercing. I mean, I don't have nipple piercings, but have you ever witnessed
what?
Somebody of nipple. I've seen this a few times.
I've seen a few nipples. I've seen a nice couple.
Somebody of nipple piercings rubbing like what's the thing called in the shower? The spongy thing, the netty spongy thing, like
loofah. Yeah,
rubbing that across, and then it gets caught in one of the little holes.
I did have a nipple piercing.
This is a fantastic piece of information.
I had it because Skip wanted one, our friend Skip.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I'll only get one if someone else gets one with me. And
peer pressure.
And I said, I'd do it if you paid for it. And then he said, yeah, okay. And then we both held hands as we laid on the little beds.
And you both walked out with Prince Albert's nipple piercings, tongue piercings, eyebrow piercings, all the whole shebang.
And we both walked out with like holding our t-shirts away from our nipples for the rest of the day. I had it for a while. It didn't hurt actually that bad, but because I was brought up around loads of dogs. Dogs have a habit of jumping up and like pawing at stuff.
Yeah. Oh dear.
I took it out eventually. It wasn't necessary. It wasn't servicing me in my life.
No. Did you keep forgetting about it as well? Like you went, oh yeah, there he is, cheeky boy.
I bet
it was a nightmare going through the metal detector in the airport, wasn't it?
I can't even the idea, because it's so long ago now, even the idea of like taking it in and out seems kind of foreign to me now. Like I don't know how that works.
I know what you mean. I used to have the like snake bite piercing just like underneath my lips.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's really weird because even now I've still got the holes and I sort of see them and I'm a bit like, God, I can't even remember like getting it done or what.
Yeah.
Like putting it in. I remember the balls used to fall off. You'd be like, oh no, where have they gone? My balls.
Isn't it weird? Like, I mean, the amount of people who like stretch their ears at that point in time. Is that even still a thing? People still do that because it got crazy.
I think a lot of people have just got, it's just like the leftovers from all those years ago. People have stretched ears. Yeah, I think I went up to like 15 mil in this one, but when I took it out, it did pretty much go back to nothing.
That's interesting. You healed Wolverine over here.
Yeah, it did. It was
over
such
here.
Unpleasant feeling when you were stretching it. That was so burny.
Like almost as bad as when we had to wear face masks for that entire weekend. So my ears were going to fly off my head.
Your ears had been like sawn off the side of your head. Painful. Yeah. So Alexia, she tries to have a go on the nipples. Justine's like, you're pulling on too hard, and she's like, nah, brah, nipple twister. And then at some point they're on the sofa just chilling for some reason, and then Alexia murders Justine with the hairpin again. Yeah,
and then I think the problem is this time someone sees it, or there's more people in the house. There's
loads of people at home, isn't there? So there's like someone starts coming down the stairs. What's going on here then? Or something. Yeah. And she kills him. They have a bit of a tussle and she kills him with a chair leg. Shoves a chair leg like into his.
Oh yeah, this was pretty gross. I remember now. Yeah. It got a bit comical. Like she kills someone else, and then she go, "Phew, And then someone else goes, "Oh, hello, what's all this then?" And then
someone would come in and go, "All right, guys, I missed the party, did I? I'm here now, I'm ready."
Like, everyone's naked for some reason.
Everyone's nude. So I think then she kills another girl, and it's after that. No, another girl hides in the room, and then a big dude comes out.
And she kills him dead easy. It's so much. She's like snaps his head like he's a hamster.
It's because she says something to him and then hugs him, doesn't she?
That's all it takes to kill. That's his biggest weakness.
She gets close to him and then she gives him a big old nipple twister and he goes, and then she shoves
I'm gonna say she gave him a Chinese burn, but I don't think you can say that anymore, can you?
Arm twisty. You gotta say. I don't know. Does anyone do that anymore? Does anyone even do that anymore? I can't remember the last time I received one.
It was around the time I got dead leg. Do you remember dead legs and dead arms?
I do remember dead legs and dead arms. Yeah,
brutal, absolutely brutal,
horrific.
Yeah,
like you'd be taken out with a dead leg. You could be taken out for the whole break time at school.
Yeah, I mean that can't be good. Like the injuries that probably linger in people's. I mean, what they hit you so hard you couldn't use your leg anymore.
Yeah.
People used to punch you and they'd use their like knuckles like as if they were Wolverine's claws. They'd like stick a little one out just to dig into right into the muscle.
There we go. I did get the booster jab over the weekend, and that was like the 2 days afterwards felt like a dead arm. I was like, what have they done here? They've jabbed it way too hard.
Yeah.
Takes the piss. So yeah, Alexia does a murder of everybody, and then I think she realizes this might be a step too far. I've been murdering people one by one, keeping it on the down low, but now I've murdered 4 people in one go, so I should probably cover my tracks. So she goes home.
I like her kind of, she not rage quit, but she just decides to opt out of her life and just sets the house on fire. And the parents are like in bed still. I think even the mum like opens her eyes and goes, "Hey up," and then she just closes the door and locks it. It is really harsh.
Yeah, it's harsh. I like that. What did you say? Rage quits life. Or what did you say?
Well, she kind of opts out of like a
opts out of life.
Like it's a mailing list.
Can I just excuse me? Can I just opt out of this experience? I'd love to just do that.
Yeah.
Let's just do that. Let's normalize. Let's do what Twitter does all the time. It goes, "Hey, why don't we normalize this?" And it's something that's definitely been normalized already.
Yeah.
Let's normalize opting out of life just for a day, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry. Put your out of office on. Just eat a whole box of Maltesers and watch Thundercats. Top Gear.
I think that's Alexia's favorite program, Top Gear.
Oh, is it?
I assume so. It's either that or Transformers, like we said, or Biker Mice from Mars. I don't know if she's into that actually.
Yeah, probably not. So yeah, after setting her own house on fire, locking her parents in there, she goes and does the classic in a bathroom mirror. I guess, like, where is she?
Wait, so I think she's seen some sort of poster for a missing boy, and then she goes, "I could do that face. I mean,
it's do that, pretty boy."
Yeah. And then I do a great impression of a boy, like looks exactly like that.
So it's a boy
brutal.
It is brutal. But a boy who disappeared 10 years ago at age 7, so would now be 17, which is weird because I'm guessing Alexia late 20s, possibly mid to late.
But she's female, so she's maybe can pull off that kind of
boyish.
I don't know. I mean, so she cuts her hair.
Yeah.
And then what else does she do?
She cuts her hair, and she tapes down her breasts, and she's got like her stomach's getting pretty damn pregnant right now. Which is
tapes that down
quickly. Just tape that down. It's as easy as that, you know. If anyone's heavily pregnant out there and you're sick of looking at it and you're like, oh God, just tape it down. You know, you'll be able to fit into anything. Just tape it down. That's how it works. And then she breaks her nose, but like in the most horrific, brutal way possible. Because you think in movies, if someone breaks their own nose, they usually snap it, punch themselves, run into a wall. This is horrific. She just like aims at the corner of a sink, like bends over, sort of like gives herself a couple of practice runs, and then just flings her face at the corner of the sink.
I just don't think I could do that, like ever, like not in that way.
I feel like I'll commit to 10 other face altering things before I want to smash the central part of my nose. You know, she could just take that down. tape everything down.
It's a bit of creative taping. She could
I've taped down my breasts. I've taped down my pregnant stomach. I've taped my nose down. And I've taped my eyes shut. So if anyone goes, "Oh, you're that murderer woman," just go, "No."
She didn't even need to cut hair. She could take that in.
She could tape the hair down. Just taped it down. So yeah,
walking around like a gaffer tapes on mummy.
Hello,
I'm your son. How does this work? How does this work again?
I was confused by this. So I understood that she was changing her appearance, but then when she turns up at the police station, pretending to be the boy, the 17-year-old boy, Adrian Legrand, a young boy disappeared 10 years ago, age 7. And luckily, of all the people she could have chosen, luckily she's chosen the son of a man who will literally believe anything you say to him as long as you tell him you're his son. So, you know,
she didn't even have to do all that. She haircut and nose fix. She just gone in, and he would have believed it straight away.
Yeah. So I guess again, there's probably a lot of interesting subtext here, in terms of, like, I don't know, accepting somebody who decides to change their gender, accepting somebody who decides to, and also, like, again, the relationship between the father and son, relationship between, and again, masculinity comes into it as well, because he's literally willing to accept that Alexia is Adrian. He says, refuse to do a DNA test, because I think that gets offered. We'll do a DNA test. Turns out, what's that lyric, Lizzo? I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% Adrian from 10 years ago. Don't worry about it. But Vincent, who's clearly got a multitude of problems himself, says, yeah, you're my son, Adrian. I'm so glad you're back. Come and work at the fire station where he lives and works. I think he lives and works at the fire station.
And they also have like topless discos.
They have topless discos. Also, firefighters. Are they firefighters, or are they, like, at one point they're definitely doing the job of like a paramedic?
Oh, I think firefighters do that.
Okay.
I think sometimes, anyway.
Forgive me.
But I mean, I don't know. I've never fought a fire before.
You never fought a fire, or as a fire fought you back?
I thought about fighting a fire one time.
Oh yeah, how did that go?
A fire thought about fighting me, but I thought about fighting that fire even more. So
the fire fought the firefighter fighting you.
The firefighter thought about fighting a fire, but the fire did not fight against the firefighter thinking about fighting the fire. That's a good tongue twister.
That's fantastic. No matter what I would have said, then I'll not be able to outdo that. So I'll let you have the final fault. So there's a scene where, like, we see this fire captain dude, like, trying to do pull-ups. Those nasty pull-ups where you're kind of like pulling yourself all the way up over the bar and then letting yourself drop down. He's doing them and he's struggling and he's angry and he, like, falls down and he's like, ah. So obviously, like, age is taking hold. He's not as strong as he used to be, even though he's pretty ripped, I'd say.
He is quite, not only ripped, he's really chunky as well. He looks like someone who could really do some damage to those fires. Get into a right scrap with them fires.
Aren't you going to wear your helmet? No, I'm going to get this fire and headlock. Yeah. Make it submit.
What's that move called with the 4-figure leg lock? Is that it?
Oh, yeah. The 4-figure firefighter leg lock. My knees are burning. My knees are melting.
Then submit. That's him telling the fire that.
Submit. Tap out. So yeah, all of the firefighters are kind of puzzled, and I think everybody kind of knows that's not Adrian, because Alexia doesn't speak, appears like androgynous and traumatized, and sort of like she's been battered, which she has, by the edge of a sink. But there's like a sort of hierarchy of power within these firefighters where no one really questions the captain's behavior. I mean, I think a couple of people.
Our firefighters, I'm pretty sure like the local fire station is not like this. Like everyone treats the captain like he's a general.
God.
Like, or like
a general,
he even
like
says
a general,
that. Doesn't he? He even says I'm God in here or something. Yeah, and it's like he's got like a right-hand man who is really likes him, does all this studying. I think he wants to be the next captain firefighter or something at some point.
Yeah. So I think, doesn't he say Adrian is now under supervision of this person?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he starts giving more and more responsibility to his son. And the reason we're saying son like that is because obviously I think everybody in the fire station knows someone ain't right. Someone ain't right.
Yeah.
That this isn't quite. Yeah.
So have we mentioned that Vincent, he also like shoves needles up his butt?
Oh yeah, of course. So constantly every 5 minutes he's like, get another needle up my arse. He's definitely got no fear of needles going into his arse. So he's injecting steroids into his aging body, and he looks like
I mean, in the picture behind me,
he looks
this is a weird shot. Like in terms of like body horror, this is kind of bizarre. Like he's kind of deforming his body with the steroids, and he looks like he's made of like clay or
like a chorizo sausage in a slightly loose skin. But
it's like the pepperami guy. Yeah, well, not really, but he looks like the uncooked pepperami guy.
Yeah, but he looks
like he's spicy to the taste.
Oh yeah, he's hella spicy. If he was Nando's chicken, he'd be hot and spicy.
He also looks like bowl.
He looks like he's just got out of a sauna, but for a month. Like he's been in a sauna for a month.
Trapped in there for 30 days.
I've been trapped in there for 30 days, but I do look absolutely ripped, don't I? What have you been eating in there? Just the hot stones.
Steam.
Steam. Oh, delicious steam. But so it looks like he's building up something of an immunity to those steroids. And I guess I was definitely thinking he is probably gonna have a heart attack at some point because he looks like he's in a bad way. He's flexing in the mirror and turning even more red. I mean, you know,
he looks like one single giant blood vessel that's about to pop.
You know, when there's there's an angry white British dude on question time, and everyone says they look like gammon. We've all seen the picture of like 10 of them all fuming.
Yeah,
he looks like what I voted for.
When you pull up in the lay-by services and there's like a motorbiker in like full leather, and it's a summer's day. He's in full leather and he's taking his top off.
There's always a guy like this in like a gym or swimming pool changing room as well. Who's like, he just looks like he does look like a blood vessel. He's just Buster Blood Vessel, whatever that guy's name was. So yeah, and obviously he's doing that, but he's like got a lot of other problems as well because he's incredibly possessive of Adrian and seems to like, I don't know, he's projecting a lot of his problems onto her as well, or obviously he believes is his son at this moment. And I think we're pretty sure he genuinely doesn't actually believe that's his son. It's almost like he obviously feels like he failed his son by his son going missing at age 7, and he's willing to just accept anything if it means he can kind of cope with this, I guess, guilt. And it even happens where his ex-wife comes to see her son, long estranged ex-wife. And doesn't she even see Alexia's like taped down pregnant belly? There's also, how many moments does this happen in this movie? Alexia goes, I'm just gonna have a quick look at my pregnant belly, or a quick look at my boobs because they've been taped down all day. Let's make sure everything's all right. And he just bursts in. He's got no respect for privacy at all. He's like, right, let's have a look then. And even though Adrian / Alexia is covering herself up, never at any point does Vincent go,
well, he's just like he doesn't care, I don't think, does he, about the facts of what he's seeing. Like he's completely like lost in his delusion and is kind of content with that.
I think he even acknowledges at some point this delusion. He even says, whoever you are my son.
Yeah.
Which is like, nice.
And then he sees the boobs. I'm pretty sure he sees some boobs. And he goes, he like sticks to it. He doesn't say anything, but he kind of hugs her or something. Or he pulls up the towel.
Yeah. I think he's like shocked, but he's like, okay, whatever.
Wow, that's interesting. Adrian.
Very interesting. That's interesting, Adrian. We will not.
Wouldn't this be weird if the real Adrian turns up as well? What do you think? I think he'd stick with his new Adrian 2.0.
He'd have them both. He'd have them both. I guess one thing this does seem to discuss is that, like, when people go through from one gender to another, when people make that transition, like parents, there must be a lot of different thoughts and feelings and, you know, confusion that goes along with that. That I guess doesn't get talked about as much, obviously, because some parents are unaccepting of that, which obviously isn't good. But for parents, even for parents who are accepting, there must be a period of time where there is that confusion, where you're trying to bring yourself around to that way of thinking. If you're supporting that person's, which you should be, but if you're supporting that person's choice, there must be a period of time where trying to accept it and trying to understand it for yourself, especially if you're a person who's come from a different level of upbringing where those things are a little bit few and far between. Obviously now in 2021, those things are a lot more commonplace and a lot more accepted. So I think it's talking a lot about that stuff without sort of expressively doing so.
Yeah, I think I mean, this film definitely has no problem with pushing certain buttons or posing certain questions that maybe some people aren't comfortable with.
Especially in like, sorry, Luke, but especially in like a pretty much exclusively male environment, like firefighters, and you know, where clearly, like, they're all, especially with Vincent. He's got his masculinities coming into question. So, you know, there's clearly, in terms of a dynamic between the firefighters there, the masculinity comes into it a lot.
Yeah.
So to have someone in that position who's suddenly like almost rise into a position of power, sort of like Vincent's second in command, and people are unsure of in terms of gender identity.
Well, there's the really weird bit. So there's some like really testosterone fueled disco party that they have where they're in like in with the fire trucks, and they've got like a DJ going, and it's like some sort of drum and bass music or something, and everyone's just kind of jumping up and down and banging their head, like it's almost like a mosh pit. And I think it is a bit of a mosh pit because they're kind of pushing each other, and they kind of have welcomed Adrian actually, and I think he's getting involved, and they're kind of picking him up and stuff. But then there's a bit where he gets on top of the fire truck and they're egging him on to dance. And
dance.
He does a very similar dance to what Alexia did on the top of the car at the very start of the film. But the situation and the people and the expectations have completely changed. So it's I don't know, it really does push certain buttons, and especially when
because everyone grows quiet, don't they? Everyone's like, "Hey, dance," and then obviously
I meant the worm. Do
the bloody worm. But yeah, are we made to think it's because, I mean, has Alexia been drinking at this point, so she's kind of out of?
I think she's just getting more comfortable in her character. Yes, I think she's just becoming more comfortable and
so they can't identify the murderer by hair, nose shape, dress, or anything, and they get all the suspects to line up.
Of the murderer.
All of you do a sexy showgirl dance, all right? We'll identify which one it is.
Yeah.
So Vincent sees her dancing up on top of the fire truck, and like walks out of the crowd, and then Alexia, obviously reverting back to her identity of this woman, then decides to have sex with a fire truck. Comes full circle.
Yeah. So there's also a weird bit where one of the firefighters, the second in command, says to Vincent, "That's not your son. I don't think it is." And then Vincent like hands him like a propane gas tank and says, "Hold this." Walks away. and then it blows up. So he's a kind of murderer as well at this point. But we don't get to see what happens to the boy. We just kind of hear him wheezing and sputtering.
Yeah.
Which is kind of really effective.
Pretty brutal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then as we sort of approach the end of the movie as well, I don't think we mentioned that earlier as well. Vincent definitely had some kind of possible heart problem thing. I don't think it was a full heart attack, but he was getting Alexia / Adrian to inject the steroids into his ass. He's like, I can't keep doing this to myself. Make sure you find a nice piece of buttock which hasn't received the needling. But yeah, he has some sort of issue, and they can like collapse.
That's quite nice, isn't it? That she kind of, because it's a weird relationship, because there's a point in time where you feel like, oh no, she's made an error by getting herself in this position with this overly testosterone, weirdly possessive man. She needs to try and get out. But then there comes a point where she starts to kind of support him because he supports her, or he doesn't mind if it's her. Like, he just wants her to be the son that he wants that relationship.
Yeah.
So it's weird. They become kind of codependent in a way. And I think at the end, it starts to go a little bit scary again when she starts to give birth. I think he reacts a bit weird at that point.
Yeah, well, obviously, as her body's breaking down, her stomach's like ripping out, and these like big metal plates are on the sides of her stomach. So it's not a standard pregnancy by any means. But as she's like coming to full term, she kind of reveals herself to Vincent. But there's a weird bit where it's almost like she reveals herself, then like starts kissing him. Yeah,
it's like she's used. That's like her only defense, or like a last ditch effort to kind of protect herself, is by being sexy, and using her sort of femininity. But then I don't think he's bothered about that, or the baby starts to come out. It's like it's honking in the trunk. It's going to come out at any point.
Yeah. Reversing out. So as she's like pushing as well, the side of her skull like splits, and we see that titanium plate that obviously has been put in her head since the start of the movie. That is revealed. And Vincent goes, hang on a minute, look at your brain. Ding, ding, ding. You're a bloody robot on there, you're Terminator.
Little camper van rolls out, and inside there's like a tiny little man driving. Oh, you've had twins.
Does she die? She does die at this point.
Robin Reliant comes out. Triplets.
bloody triplets.
Yeah, she dies because she's kind of like really unwrapped herself, like all the bits and pieces that are kind of come apart. I mean, it's a bizarre concept in what the hell is going on with her body. Who knows? But then the baby comes out, who has like a titanium spine, so he's even more infused with carbon.
I mean, that's a Spider-Man villain right there.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder what his power's going to be. Spine, strong spine.
Strong spine. Engine light comes on at least every 8 months.
I don't think we got to see the front of the. Oh no, we did see the front of the baby. I don't think it had headlight eyes. It should have had headlight eyes.
Yeah. But Vince like holds the baby and holds it close and says,
"Hold it too tight."
Holds it too tight, and the wipers come on. Oh shit! Sorry, but obviously, I guess what we're supposed to believe here is that Vincent's going to take care of that baby, because that's another replacement for his son. Like, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're like this. If you're an androgynous woman who wants to be your son. Doesn't matter if you're a half boy, half car baby. You can be his son as well. He'll have anyone as his son. But if Adrian does eventually turn up, he's going to be hella confused.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it ends. It just ends with the dad, Vincent, accepting another Adrian or a new replacement or something. He says, "I'm here,
Robo Adrian. I am Robo Adrian." Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I've got a bit of a name game for you.
Oh, very nice.
If you're ready for it. So the first one is about a young woman who, as a kid, she's struck on the head by a rogue cork Years later, she gets pregnant and she gives birth, and when the baby comes out, it pops out.
Is it champagne?
Champagne, yeah.
Pops right out.
Yay, and everyone cheers.
What vintage though? What vintage are we talking here? Is it a good year?
I have no idea about champagne. Prosecco. No. Is that even a champagne? Is that
it's not a champagne, it's just a sparkling wine, that is.
Is it really? Okay, cool. Next one. A little young girl falls off of the Nakatomi Plaza and bangs her head. Years later, she gives birth to a tiny vest-wearing action hero.
That's a good one. That is a good one. McClane.
Yeah, John McClane.
Yeah. Bare feet.
He comes
Machine
out.
gun.
It
comes.
Yeah. Last one. I've not got many. It's quite hard actually to find things that rhyme with Titane. Last one. A young Brett McKenzie bangs his head on a Concorde. Years later, he gives birth to a llama-looking friend.
Oh yeah, great. He gives birth to. I mean, this is bizarre, but Jermaine.
Correct.
Has anybody ever told you looked like a llama? Tears of a rapper.
You're too easily offended. Can't believe you said that.
Can't believe you just said that. Oh no, I'm going to get the joke wrong. My dad, he always campaigned for women's rights. Oh, what about your mum? Did she not do that? Oh no, my dad wouldn't allow it.
Such a good show. I've not seen it in a long, long time.
Classic. I don't know if I've got. I'm trying to think if I've got any for you. I don't think I have. It's only one word. It should be easy.
Yes, it's not though. I mean, I can see the cogs. I can see the engine turning in your head.
No, I haven't got one. Sorry.
No problem.
Apologies.
I'm sure if anyone out there has got a name game for Titane, let us know. Come to the Facebook group.
Titanic.
Stephen or Troy might have one for us. I don't know.
Oh yeah, fire them at us. Okay, there we go. That's that.
Cool. If you need to rate the film, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I feel pretty positive about it. I think I enjoyed. As I said, I think there's a lot going on, but I never really felt too overwhelmed by it. It's a nice sort of strange slice of French cinema. And I enjoyed Raw as well, and it had similar sort of vibes. So clearly, Julia Ducournau as a filmmaker, is very talented. She's young as well. She's like 37. So to have these two movies under a belt already is pretty spectacular. And again, female directors of horror movies, it's always great to see them get the recognition they deserve. So I would probably rate this maybe like a B plus. Is it B minus? B standard B? Maybe a B plus. Maybe a B plus, because it's one of those films that I felt like I needed to talk about afterwards, and talking about it here today has been pretty good as well. So it's definitely going to be one that lingers with me for a while. So I think B plus is fair.
Well, I was going to go B plus as well for similar reasons. Like, it's not an enjoyable film, but it's a super interesting one. But I'm actually going to go with an A minus, just because I think it's extremely singular. I can't really think of any films that are quite like this. And I think that kind of originality kind of really kind of makes it stick out in my mind. And I think for many, many years to come, I'll always think of the tiny Transformer baby that pops out at the end.
And I mean, even though like I did kind of feel like I wanted it to stay more with the serial killer vibes and stuff. Now we've discussed the film as a whole, I'm a bit like it probably wouldn't have been as singular as that if it just stayed with the serial killer vibes, revengeful woman on a rampage sort of thing. I know that it would have had a different side to it with the Terminator baby happening as well. But I think the fact it didn't go there and it went in some unexpected directions, it seemed to have a lot of commentary on very interesting topics on gender, on masculinity, on father-son relationships, on murder hairpins, all interesting stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're good.
Cool. So thanks for listening. Is next week quiz week?
Yeah, so
wow, that's coming around quick.
So this is officially the last episode before Christmas, so bloody hell, Merry Christmas. I'm glad we did a festive film. Anything festive that happens in this film? I mean, Vincent behind you, he's very red, almost like Rudolph's red nose. So
exactly.
Maybe
yeah.
we could say that's
he lights
festive.
the way through the winters.
He lights bloody way. So yeah, we're supposed to be going up against the guys from an Earful podcast in a quiz episode next week. Hopefully that will go ahead. I don't know why I'm saying it like that, like it won't, but I'm hoping it will. So yeah, looking forward to that, and that's going to be how we round off the year. And I guess we're going to jump in when we jump into January. We will do some sort of roundup of horror movies of 2021 because I think that's usually what we do.
Yeah, we've got to do like a top 10 sort of deal.
10, top 5, something like that. We'll see what we did last year, and we'll try and replicate that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. All right. So thanks for listening again. If you enjoyed this episode, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/ I was going to say the wrong one then. Patreon.com/ horror hangout, where you can get bonus content. In fact, there's some recent bonus content that just went live. Ben, do you want to tell them about what you I don't think you've already talked about this. Maybe you did last week.
I think we mentioned it last week, but we'll mention it again. So the bonus content is me and Andy did a ranking of the Halloween franchise, all 12 movies officially in the Halloween franchise, and discuss what our favorite is. Maybe the ones we both chose for number 1 is a little bit controversial, interesting talking point. But tell us what your rankings are. I think on the back of Halloween Kills, we thought it was going to be, we're going to have a lot to say about it, but because Halloween Kills was a bit of a disappointment, it was quite low down in the list. But yeah, go and check it out. I think we'll drop another Horror Hangout book chapter on there before the month is through, maybe as a nice Christmas present. Mm-hmm. But well, why not treat yourself? If you get some Christmas money, why not become a patron on Patreon, and get all that bonus content into your inbox.
Yeah,
directly.
Cool. Thanks to our current patrons: Lane Spencer, John Crinnan, Ben Scaife, Stephen Christopher, Toby Miller, Laura Kendrick, Scott Rigby, and Pazuzu. And we have a very new patron, a very special one, because when I read his name, I thought it said Oil Child, which would be so fitting for this movie. But unfortunately, it's actually Ollie Child. So thanks very much, Ollie.
Say unfortunately, but fortunately.
Yeah, fortunately, you're not called Oil.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. That means an absolute ton to us, and especially for Christmas. It's like we got a special present from Santa. Nice little Patreon pledge.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Thanks to Kovacs Cameron for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show, and thanks to listeners. Please consider rating and reviewing, and join the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. And thanks to Ben for being a right horror dude.
Thank you, Luke. Pleasure as always. Merry Christmas. I hope the big fat red man behind you brings you all you want, whether that's a Terminator baby or just some new pants.
Or syringes for your buttocks.
Yes, please.
Keep them warm through the night when they're outside the duvet.
Oh yeah, I like that. Imagine having a constantly warm ass. That's the dream.
Cool. All right. Bye.
See you later.
See you in a bit. Bye.